wouldn't say to an extent. In overview, they represent the voices of the people. They represent different people in different constituencies. If they are saying there are irregularities in the budget, I mean, misappropriation of figures, for instance, about 10 billion naira was allocated to just the medical center instead of the entire medical sector, and that was a misappropriation of figures.
Look, let me tell you something, and that's I was listening to the previous discussion. Our press should wake up and see through all these gimmicks. For me, look, they're just throwing red herrings in our path, wasting our time.
But like lawyers, we can only attest to what the facts that we've seen on ground. We are not members of the National Assembly.
The thing is, let us be careful in this country. We need to be very discerning. We're intelligent people, for crying out loud. People can't throw figures, I say, because they throw figures that mean they misses the truth. What delving do we do? Look, let me tell you, go check what other people do. That citizen contribution speaks to intelligence. It's not that people will just wake up and bandy figures around and tell, do they represent us? If they represent, they won't earn what they're earning. Those people don't represent anyone. Let's be serious. I'm hoping we've gotten in the bid right now with the presidency. People will wake up to know that very important. We need to be careful about legislators. They just doze away. That's what they do.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Sorry, just a moment, Alex, the real quotes. If you're looking at the legislature and the executive is the presidential arm. What would you rather want to see? I mean, there were mistakes in the budget. That cannot be taken away. The president has come out to accept the fact that there were mistakes in the budget. So, yes, the budget should have been implemented. You said the excuses the National Assembly is given aren't good enough. But what would you have wanted to see in that entire process, even after the mistakes were made in the budget? These are very sensitive figures.
Let me say this up front. Okay. In 2004, during the American election, John Kerry squared against Bush. When the results were announced, they came out the next morning and said, yesterday we were Democrats and we were Republicans, but today we are Americans. Look, these people are still playing politics. They're wasting our time. The thing is, what is their job? Is oversight. If the president says this is a proposal, it's their responsibility to look indeed, truly, and they don't need to be telling us this is an embarrassment. They are the embarrassment, not the budget. They should have a better understanding of what their responsibilities are. The thing is, this is the budget presented as a proposal, and then they sit down. Yes, there's the undergirding figure. Then they sit down, they look. Then they can say this was. Then we get the people who have done this. Look, these are people who have gotten used to doing corrupt things. We should fish them, and this is an opportunity to feed them out and throw them away out of the system.
What's your position on the postponement?
I think Doc, my certificate is at stake here. But sincerely speaking, let me tell you how budgeting process goes. I've been fortunate to run a budgeting department, internal audit and budgeting, in 2 companies. I started the process. Now, the first thing about budget is what they call call circular. Now, you send a call circular to all the ministries and departments to bring in their estimates. Number one, there will be previous year budget, previous year approved, actual up-to-date, proposed budget. And then, when that is done, you now come to a budget defense section, where every ministry or department will defend. They could have it ministerially, for which the minister or whoever would now take it to the central budget. That is the process a budget goes through, and then it is debated there. But the unfortunate thing in the civil services, they breach their own rules. These are rules of the civil service, but because of incompetence, all this while, when things have been so, like we were talking about building institutions and building persons, governance has been personalized at all levels, from the local government to the presidency. It has been it was personalized. The president decide. We know what happened in the last 16 years. The president decide who is even his party chairman, who is his party secretary. One man will decide everything. So we personalize governance. So that is where all this breakdown came up. So, but with this, that is how it's supposed to be. If that was done, and I think I'm reminding the presidency, or if they listen to me, or the minister of budget, anybody, that is the proper way to go. You could have started as early as July. Unfortunately, the government was not formed before then. So I can excuse the government for what has happened. But the nitty-gritty of this, which the doctor has said, is this is a proposal. It is not a budget. It is a budgetary proposal, estimate proposal, that is sent as a bill to the National Assembly. And the duty of the National Assembly is to take a fine-tooth comb
Absolutely.
and review the issue. And that is why they are called now to come and defend it at the National Assembly.
Okay.
So we keep, I'm coming, please. We keep misinforming Nigerians, playing politics.
Yeah.
And the press just jumping on anything they pick in order to either sell their newspapers or get good headline, and then the social media is not helping matters. I agree. There were distortions, there were issues in the budget, several issues, for which the president himself is embarrassed because he read it at the floor. But that does not mean that there was any padding. When you pad a budget, you pad a budget after it has been passed, signed, and then somebody added figure. That is padding.
Alexa, let me take it from this other perspective. Okay, it has been established that there are issues with the budget, but I mean, not good enough.
Please, let's not call it budget. I won't take budget.
It's
Proposal.
the proposal,
Yes.
not the budget. But now let me look at it from this perspective. The proposed budget, so to speak, was sent to the National Assembly.
Yeah.
Let's take it from Senator Ali Ndume's point of view, where he said, okay, how do we execute this budget? It's about 6.08 trillion, away from the issues we have.
Yes.
If we were to execute this budget, is it feasible? What are the structures in place for the execution of this budget? If we're talking about, I mean, I'm quoting the president when he said he was going to, did you say diversify? I'm trying
Diversify the economy.
Diversify the economy. No, he talked about taxes.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to increase taxes, but he was going to broaden the view of taxes.
Exactly.
And the Senate have come to say, okay, even if you need to broaden the view of taxes, how can this be achieved? So let's take it from the other divide.
Now,
what are your comments on that? Is it achievable?
Alain Dume is exhibiting gross ignorance and insensitivity of how government runs, and that's unfortunate. Alain Dume is
What are your reasons
He's
for
a
saying
third-time
that?
senator.
And
Look,
he's a Senate leader.
He's a Senate leader, and you have not come to grasp as to how governance works, as to how budgets work. Budget is an estimate. You have income projections. The government has projected their sources of income, which is before the Senate. Now it is left for you to bring government to task and to say this X source is not feasible. It cannot be realizable. But you leave it there because it is a anticipated inflow. Now the government has even started some of the. They say they are going to broaden the tax base, which we have been crying for. A lot of persons are not captured in a tax bracket. Even when they are captured, they pay little or no tax. It is you and me that has a paid job that will pay payee that pays sometimes very close to accurate tax. The man that has a 500 million naira house in Banana that we just talked about, please go and check his tax receipt. Go and check his tax receipt. So broadening the tax base is a normal thing, and it is left for the government to execute them one by one, and not from Dume to now start bringing or coming to TV to bring government to tax and say that's not possible. You've not even passed the estimate.
Okay.
Pass it first, and let's see how it goes.
Let me just say something to what Alexa has said, and I thank him because he's an accountant. Tax says it's going to come in within 4 trillion. The TSA has given us
2.2 trillion already.
Something, and then we have not diversified. Look, honestly, we have an incompetent National Assembly, and it's very annoying. They're wasting our time.
Moving away from that, we are talking about the economic effect. The non-passage or the delay on the non-passage of this budget proposal, what effect does it have on our economy?
You see, the thing that it just disturbs other people from planning. That's what it does. Because many companies will be waiting for how does it affect, and then they plan. People already have cushions working against this kind of people. So let us not be deceived that it will grossly distort our economic potential. It may affect us, but the government knows what it's doing. And I think what we should do is sit down with this government and then see how we can benefit Nigerians. They are just talking. Look, if you read minutes of what they say, I was reading what somebody said, the man put in Niger Delta, he bought Jeep. When President say, Buhari says they fight corruption, left is it. And so is Buhari everybody? Doctor, the fact that the man misbehaved does not mean Buhari misbehaved. Look, let's get serious.
Doctor, let me get your thoughts on this particular subject. I mean, I'm still going to quote the president. In last month, he did say that it's difficult for any of his what's the word he used? It's difficult for any of his members of any of the members of his cabinet to convince him to devalue the naira. That's when the issues about the budget and all and allied issues came up. And then the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Finance has been traveling around to different banks trying to seek for support for the Nigeria's economy. Away from that, the president also said that it's the ministers don't really do the work, it's the civil servants who do the work. And now a lot of persons would say the civil servants are part of the problems why this budget has been postponed. There are several issues, but the civil servants cannot be taken out. In all of this, where lies the confusion?
You see, it is not a confusion. This man is speaking as Alexa said, in a normal process. In the normal procedure, there is a cascade of events that happens, and this is my understanding of it. That's what the president is saying. If you then don't perform, we take you away and put somebody else there. Look, people have gotten to use times of impunity. When there's normlessness, there's no control, it became a bazaar. It was a financial bazaar we had. And so people were exploiting it. The thing is, I don't think there's a confusion. I think what is left for us, particularly the press, is to put things in perspective for ordinary people. Can I tell you something? Ordinary Nigerians understand even more than the press and even more than the Senate. Because that is where they sit back and they are waiting. And they are not disturbed by all this grandstanding. And I think we should get serious. Nigeria should go beyond all this. No. We don't have time.
Doctor, you have to hold your thought. The producer said we have to go on a break. We'll go on a short break now. When we return, the discussion continues. Please stay tuned. It's still AM Chat, and we are still on to the discussion segment. And we're still looking at the economic effect of the postponement of the passage of the 2016 budget. They said it's a proposal, not a budget. Yes. And we still have Alex and Dr. Dogu in the studio. Mr. Alex, your view on the economic implications of this non-passage of the budget?
Look, see, in Nigeria, do you know facts and reality? Maybe it's like 40% of our life. Anxieties and paparazzi and euphorias and sentiment takes about 60%. You know, even the woman that is selling pepper, market budget has not been passed, therefore the economy is hard. The woman that is working in his office and that maybe somebody that working in a transport, yes, government is the biggest spender, agreed. But is this the first time we're having a budget passed late? It's not. The last year budget was passed sometime around April. Even before, just like they were trying to pass, but even during the election, because they were changing it due to the oil prices that was happening. So yes, it's going to affect a few some major economic life. For instance, constructions. Government is the biggest investor. Government is the biggest investor in constructions. Okay. Please, how will it affect? Okay, let me know how it will affect health or education. If you're not building, I'm coming, sir. I'm coming. No, let's be factual. Okay. I want to take them factually. Tell me how it will affect health and education. Look, it will affect income disposition, yes. But let me also tell you that not everybody depends on government contracts. People who are earning their income, government still pay their salaries.
But you still said government is the biggest spender.
In terms of infrastructure development, in terms of most government expenditure. Look, let me tell you, most of them are wasteful. Wasteful expenditures that does not have economic value. I'm coming.
I might have to interrupt you.
Okay,
I mean, please. Yes, you said not all the sectors might be affected.
Exactly.
We've never had it this bad in the oil sector in Nigeria. Nigeria, what do we export?
Yeah.
Oil.
Only oil, yes.
Oil is all we have, and we've never had it this bad in our economy when it comes to crude oil.
We've
never had it this bad.
We've had. Go back to 1980. Go back to 1982, 1983, 1984. Oil was going for $8 when Buhari took over in 1984. Oil was $8, $10
in the
per
democratic
barrel.
regime, we've never had it this bad.
Yes.
You're talking about
the
the
democracy.
regime. But in democracy, in the past 16 years, we've never had it this bad.
Yes, we had it good. And what did we do with the good that we had? Jonathan was selling oil at over 100. Obasanjo was selling at 60, 70. Jonathan was selling at over 100. And they were stealing about 400,000 barrels per day.
Okay, Alexa, still on the effects of the postponement of this budget of the economy, you just made reference to the previous administration.
Let me tell you.
If we are going to be borrowing...
Look, let me tell you something about budgeting and national listing. The constitution allows the government to spend up to one quarter.
1 quarter.
Of the previous year estimates when the new budget has not been passed. Government is running. Government is spending. Government is paying salaries. Government is paying. Government may not be paying contractors, whereby there is no disposable income and there is no liquid. There may not be enough liquid income that the banks can use to lend credit.
Are you
and
not
all
saying
whatnot.
that there's no economic?
There is a fact. There is a fact because the economy is not at optimal.
That's right.
Understand?
Okay.
Like if the budget is here now.
But it's not at the hot.
No, it's not. It's not that they hot. That's again what when people, even those who doesn't have anything to do with government or anything or budget, the sentiment or the sentiment that goes around because of social media. Oh, economy is grounded. Which economy is grounded? Or foreign investors are not coming. Please go to the airport and see people.
Let's get your thoughts on this subject too, on this particular.
Honestly, I differ a lot in this to what Alex said because an accountant, but in my own layman point of view, what should be happening that is not happening? That's the question we should be asking. The only thing, look, let me tell you the areas in which people will feel this. Because the minister, someone like power, housing, and fashion, there are certain infrastructural things he had pulled in the budget that will change people's lives, that would increase employment, that may be stalled. Those are the things that we show immediately. But, as we've said, last year this budget was passed in April. Nigeria did not collapse. Even the ones that were passed, what did we do with what was passed?
Doctor, let me get this clear.
It's not the effectiveness of the spending.
Just a moment, Doctor. Let me get this clear cut. Alexa did say that not every sector is affected. Some basic sectors, you talked about infrastructure, works, roads, and housing. But if you're looking at Nigeria, I mean, it's called the budget for change. APC is change. The administration we're running now is APC. They talked about their not 7 points, but gender rather. They talked about their change policy, and they talked about creating jobs, improving on infrastructure, housing, the basic needs of Nigerians.
Electricity.
The basic needs and amenities of Nigerians. I mean, housing, infrastructure, that cannot be taken away out of it. Job creation. If those sectors are stalled, job creation, infrastructure, housing, and so on. If no, I'm just asking. Supposedly that those sectors or those sectors are stalled out of non-implementation of the budget.
Insinuating is as if the budget will never be passed.
No, the budget will be passed.
It will be slowed, but it doesn't stop.
If it's slowed,
right,
and these sectors are affected, where the change plan is supposed to be felt the most, right, what would you say about the other sectors?
Let me tell you, if you pass the budget today, those things will not take off till towards the end of the year. You will not begin to. No, okay, if it's going
how long will it take to build a house?
It takes time.
No, how long will it take to build a house? If okay, you are saying power.
Everybody will start it.
Good,
that's what
good.
I'm saying.
So what we're saying is, it can be fast tracked. Let's leave the government.
Okay, it can be fast tracked.
Yes, let's leave the government to worry about the headache of how to execute their plan.
Okay.
Now,
on the part of investors.
Okay. Investing. Which investor now? In which area?
Okay,
are you talking about? I'm coming. People keep saying investors. Who are the investors? Are we talking about you and me investing in agriculture, investing in power? There is nobody saying you should invest in. I mean, there's no license to invest in power. Now, the government wants to expand for solid minerals, and the government has made their plans clear. It doesn't need budget. There is nothing like budget to invest in. Go and apply to Ministry of Solid Minerals or which ministry you want to invest in, and it is not something that you do today and you get results today.
So, Alexa, you talked about fast tracking. Let me get your own opinion on fast tracking. I mean, that was the word I was actually waiting to hear.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you, number one, I think it was a bit silly to postpone.
Okay.
But let us say it's
completely silly.
Yeah, let us say it was postponed. They will pass the budget. Look, the ministries are working. They're anticipating. They have the opportunity of spending from last year something in lieu of when this thing is passed. Honestly, I really don't see what major effect this delay is going to cause that is giving us any heartache or any anxiety. I think what we should just be getting our people to understand, getting our legislators to understand why they are put in Abuja. It's not just to go and be carrying flowing agbada and driving executive vehicles and following Saraki to CCT. That's not their job. Their job is to cater to the people who wasted their time voting for them, and they're not doing that. That's what we should be focusing on. This budget can be passed before the end of this month if they're serious.
Let me ask you this question. I totally agree with you on that regard, but let me ask you this question, Doctor.
Right.
If you're looking at this budget, they said it's zero. What's the word?
Zero base.
Yes. Now, if you're making a comparison between this budget and the last budget, I'm quoting the former governor of CBN, Charles Soludo. He did say that he looked through the budget and it was more like a copy and paste scenario.
Everybody
that was
agrees.
his own opinion.
No,
that
true.
was
True, he may be right.
Okay.
Let me tell you, because Buhari said, and Oshibaji said the same thing, that it was going to be zero base. And what zero base means, work as if there's nothing and start.
Yeah.
But what people did, the people who are used to impunity, who Buhari left there, if he has sacked all of them, that maybe we say, oh, the dictator has come. Now we can see that he needs to sack them, but he is letting them show themselves forth. The thing that they did was to do the copy and paste. It wasn't him. He had given the guidelines of what to be done. Udo Thomas said that the people in the budget, they didn't get it right. How do we then get it right should be our focus.
Thank you very much,
Sitting
Dr.
on what has
How
been
do
done
we then get it right should be our focus? Let me come to you, Alex Wilcox. How do we then get it right should be our focus? In the last administration, a lot of people would say they lost it, even when it came to their financial and fiscal policy and so on. If we were to put our framework in place, put our mindsets in place for us not to make the mistakes the last administration made, especially in the implementation of this budget, what would you advise as an accountant?
Yeah, the investor have just said it all. The government wanted to start a zero base. Zero base is starting from the scratch. But they did cut and paste. Obvious, you are correct. You got a spot on there. It was cut and paste. And in fact, deadly cut and paste. Because of the rush and the time frame. So now how to get it right is get competent persons. Okay. There are a lot of incompetencies around the budget office and around the system. And the president now, you see, when the president was telling that he was searching for persons, he knew what he was doing. Now the president has, now the whole society has seen the folly of the persons that are there. So now the president needs to get rid of certain persons. Okay. Even part of his appointees, get rid of certain persons, and please go beyond the scheme and bring in people. There are persons who have competencies in this area.
But there seem to be fears already in the ministries over the progress figures. They should
be afraid of the because Buhari said, do not be afraid of Buhari, but be afraid of the consequences of your action.
Absolutely.
So right now, their action has embarrassed the president, it's embarrassed the government, and the National Assembly that is polarized along Sarakil and other lines are now making a meal of the presidency, ridiculing the presidency more and the government more with all this. The press is not helping matter. The press will always pick the juices that will sell their newspapers and everything and give them good headlines. It's a complete gamut of total mess. But I tell you, let the presidency now let the government sit. I will not say, let the government now sit up. Go into a short retreat. Look at the issues. Look at where this folly came from and fix it right now.
But does this seem to put any pressure on the already weakened naira? Does it seem to put any pressure?
That's a different ball game. And like I told you, most that we do in this country has 60% sentiment, 40% economy. Naira is 305, 306. Please tell me what was the demand push that would draw naira to that level? The government still funds legitimate import through official channels of 197, 198.
Yeah.
The government still fund of legitimate imports through official channels. Now, those who are sourcing naira that is driving the value of naira, what are they importing? Hair, shoe, bag from Dubai, toothpick. Those that want to go to Dubai and those that want to buy Ankara and all those things that are not needed.
All these are just sentiments.
Sentiments.
Doctor, let me get your
sentiments.
Let me get your
not economic value.
She asked the question about. I mean, she was focused on corruption, and Alex Wilcox attested to the fact that some of these people who are working with the president are grossly incompetent. The question I want to ask you is, I mean, there's a pool of people working with the president. Someone was asking me this question this morning. Does it mean that there's nobody who can financially advise the president on what would have been done or what is supposed to be done? Now, away from that, that's the first question I want to get your impression on. Away from that, if you're looking at the entire scenario and everything that's happened, I mean, I follow the finance minister vividly. She's been going around different banks in the world, trying to see how we can destabilize Nigeria's economy, trying to see how we can possibly borrow to meet up with the amounts of monies that are actually estimated in this budget. If we're trying to do all of that and we don't have a clear-cut direction of, okay, is this budget going to be approved at this time? Is it going to be approved at this time? Do you not think we might end up wasting our time? We might end up making errors in the long run?
I don't think so.
Okay, why?
You see, all of these steps are anticipatory steps. If this, what are we supposed to do to jack up our economy? Every sector has to work and in concert to do the same thing. You see, what we should be careful about is we're allowing too much noise to be in the marketplace and there's little substance. And so everybody's dancing around making noise and we're living.
Should I suppose to say too much of talk and less actions or?
Not really,
okay.
Not really. What I mean is, the marketplace is full of noise. You know, when you go to market, you want to buy, go see everybody shouting that is this. You better face who you're dealing with. That's what Buhari is doing. You see all this noise that Senate and the National Assembly is making is not necessary. It's a grandstanding. The thing is, if the finance minister is going to, they know how they're working. There's a fulcrum around the president about the economic team. You see, do we expect the president to begin to look at what happens in the Ministry of Health when he had a thought? He has competent people in charge. When the budget proposal is supposed to be put together by people, is it going to be sitting with the nitty-gritty? Look, one thing that people don't know is that other people can have bedside view. The president has an helicopter view. And that's the way a manager operates. I don't go into how many shoes, but I know how do you dress. That's what the president is doing.
To an extent,
Right.
Itainang was a part of the entire, you knew what happened with Itainang. If something was to be done to Itainang, to an extent, what would you suggest, or what would you want to see about Itainang? It's almost impossible to talk without talking about Itainang.
The fact is, let's not, I don't want to personalize to anyone, but sincerely, Itainang got it wrong. If actually it was revealed that he tried to smuggle in things, he got his quota and he was embarrassed with the president. There is no point or no shame in admitting I was wrong, I got it wrong here. Okay, that was a mistake.
I want to
the
make amends.
budget as a whole had errors. The budget proposal had errors. Some deliberate, some mistakes, and some out of incompetence or same of same. You know, that's the deliberate aspect of it. So for Itainang to want to, Itainang just left the PDP. And they have a way of doing their things in PDP. They have a way of passing through the back door in doing things. And he forgot that he's now working for a different president. So he still wants to carry those PDP antics and ways of passing through the back door.
Do you want to say that PDP, is it the name or the individual? You want to say, is it by PDP?
No, well, the individual...
Because most of those people in PDP still move to APC.
But that is what you are seeing. But you can see some of the flaws. Those who have not really fallen in line with the APC philosophy and the president ideology of change. It beats my imagination when people are saying, hey, they promise change now, change. You think change is an event? No, change is a process.
It's a process.
Which everybody has to key in. You and I should key into that change. Change is not only when Buhari stayed in Abuja and drew a magic wand and there was change. Change is a process. And the process is what is taking place right now. For instance, let me just give for instance. Now, nobody ever has forgotten. Before December, before Christmas, everybody was shouting, oh, change, we didn't see fuel, change, we didn't see fuel, blah, blah, blah. Now, since December 25th or thereabout.
But they seem to promise it.
I'm coming, sir. The fuel situation has stabilized. The government has not paid one dime in terms of fuel subsidy. And we are buying fuel, and every station in this country today at 26 naira 50 kobo. Nobody sees that as a change.
I concur to what you said.
Nobody sees that as a change. So, but everybody wants change. Oh, naira should become 1 naira once.
But I disagree when you say PDP or because.
No, I'm talking of Itainang. I'm talking of Itainang now. You see, there has been a way. PDP has been in government, and there is a way they have been doing things with impunity through the back door, not on the surface not across across the table transactions. They want to pass them through the back door, and that's what he tried to do. But this president came up and said, please put that budget on the line so everyone can see it. You wrote National Assembly that there were errors in the budget that needs to be corrected. Yeah. That is the open, and he has done it.
I like that.
So when Nigerians keep shouting, "This man, he bad, change that's not there," just make it like just said, noise without substance.
Just a moment, Alexa, you come. So let me get your train of thought on this. He has talked about change, and he has talked about the masses. You are very particular about the information that is dished out to the public from the press, whether print, whether electronic media, whether social media. But you know, we almost do not have control of what the press would want to dish out to the public. To an extent, it's a body on its own. But the question I want to ask you is, if you want to send this awareness to Nigerians out there, I mean, the common man on the streets about what the president is doing. He said change does not happen overnight; it takes time. The president is working. A lot of people who are elites could see that the president is working, but not everybody can see to that. But if you wanted to create this awareness to the public, and of course, to an extent, transform their mindsets on how to take in issues, it's a process as well. But what would you suggest?
Right. For me, as Alexis said, I totally agree, and that's what I've always said to people.
Consider the fact that the common man, if this biro used to be sold for 10 naira and now it's 15 naira, during change, they feel that nothing is happening. Consider that fact.
No, you see, those are cosmetic things.
How would you want to pass the message?
Biro last time because there was change. What does change have to do with biro? Would I go and change?
About the major issues like infrastructure, finance.
You see, the thing is, I'm expecting.
That's the common man.
Right.
The thoughts of a common man. So
I understand. That's what I'm saying. It comes to what she's asking me about. How do we cascade this to the people? The thing is, the press has a major role. The press has not shown an understanding itself of the change process, because they also have partisan binoculars with which they view this thing to suit their masters. We can see it. Some elites are even worse than the ordinary Nigerians in their disposition, because chop is not available again, so everybody is annoyed. So for them, they don't see the change, but that is the change we see, because there's no more chop money for everyone. The other thing is, today, I don't think Omeri should still be sitting in national orientation. BG? He shouldn't be sitting there. He has no business in that place because he doesn't understand the process. He's a vestige of the last corrupting government. He should have been gone by now, but I know in the way Buhari does things is to be systematic. When he goes, National Orientation Committee or whatever, the NOA, will be the agent to get this to the people, and to get people to understand and keen to the change process. Because Alexa said something. We make noise about change. We don't change the way we drive. Where is not going to drive your car?
Start from the common man.
You still stay in the car and throw things on the road. Who's going to do that for you? The president can only give a broad line policy. It's about us, about our mind, about our paradigm shift. You see, Nigerians are comfortable in impunity because there's a normlessness. Nobody holds you responsible. But when this change begins to be entrenched, you will see what will happen.
Okay, and again, let me also add to that, please. Even this budget exposition that is coming up now, is it not a change process?
It is.
This is the very first time we are hearing this. Has budget not been padded before now? And has been not been enveloped in the whole process? And then what happens is business as usual. Ministers go to National Assembly with Ghana must go and settle and they rubber stamp it. This is the first time since this dispensation that the legislators, either grudgingly or with bad bellerism or whatever, is looking through the budget, because there is no more money to be given to you to pass the budget. Yes. Now they are looking at the budget nitty gritty, and I think actually the president will be happy. We'll be happy, and I'm happy, because now the issues are coming out. All those efficient items, those padding that is there, are now coming to the fore. And I tell you, by the time all those are removed, plus or minus, and with the level of revenue drive with this government, I tell you, by the time this budget starts implementing, all these abandoned projects will be a thing of the past. There will be enough funds to match the budget, because another thing is, most times you pass the budget, they come to tell you capital implemented 30%, recurrent implemented 100%, because those recurrent is where they pad. Yes. So official travels, conferences, seminars, and all those things will just be coming out and be good. But capital expenditure, no money for it.
Alexa, that had been the norm in the past. I mean, some people, everybody would always say, if you fight corruption, to an extent, it fights back. Now, if we've put all of this in place, so to speak, supposed normalcy returns to Nigeria's economy, everything is moving swiftly after the budget. What would you like to see, in the sense that if you try to fight corruption to an extent, it fights, but the international communities are watching? You've highlighted the fact that a lot of things we've seen in this administration with the budget supposed passage has never been done in any of the past administrations in democracy. But the international communities are watching. What would you like to see in time to come, especially with Nigeria's finance and the way we should manage our finances, knowing fully well that we are already indebted to so many other nations around the world? What would you like to see?
There's no nation that is not indebted. America has the highest debt ratio in the world. But the thing is this: what do you do with what you have? You see, when people the confidence they want to see is that you know what you're doing. You are matching your word with your results. Let me tell you, by the time we get it right with this, and then begins to show, and we get it, and we get a good budget, and then it's eventually passed, and and then infrastructure comes up, investors come in, you see diversification. Nobody will tell you before FDI increases. You see, the thing is not magical. It's not going to happen overnight. And they'll say, no, that's not. All these secondos making us that who crashed the economy? When a man can have $2 million in his house and give it to someone to go and change. So, look, honestly, it beats my mind.
Even talking about this dollar that they say is 300. Right. Where did Buhari make it? Was it at 300? I mean, was it at 200 and something?
Yes.
Before he even stopped the flow of this into BDC. We know the rot that was going on. And so anybody coming up, the PDP, sincerely, we're not talking party event, they do not even have any iota, any strand of moral fiber
to speak
on this issue. Because, number one, like the doctor said, somebody will carry $2 million in his pocket. Somebody will carry millions of dollars in his pocket, even with our banking reform that you cannot, that there is a cashless economy, there is every process is put in place in the bank, which they crashed. The TSA that today has about 2.2 trillion naira was established by them. And Boris said it. Boris said we didn't establish TSA, but we find it a good tool. The government that established will not use it to help the economy. Rather, because if you know how much that leaves the system every December, when the budget is about to round up, you understand why people are crying out that there's no money. What we are running before was a voodoo economy.
Absolutely.
We are running a fake voodoo economy that is not based on productivity. No. You take money out of the system, you go and spend it on women, on hotels,
buy a house for family.
Buy a house for 5 million.
What would you say your final thoughts on this?
My closing thoughts on this. My closing thoughts on this. Look, Nigerians, please apply the brake of politics. Politics is gone. We are now in governance. And let us see the sincerity in the personality of President Muhammadu Buhari.
Thank you.
Who has the capacity to rein in any deviance that you might find within the government. And I tell you, it is for the betterment of Nigeria, and Nigeria will work better.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Mine is, I think we need a lot of patience and then a determination to have understanding. And then we will see our nation transform right before the end of the year, and then we can be glad to be Nigerians again.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Doctor. It's been nice speaking with you. I mean, your wealth of thought. You're so vast. You should have been a politician sometime.
Maybe
2019.
No,
it's just by the wayside.
No, if not for all these games, I probably would love to be part of the Senate.
So let's look forward to 2019, Doctor. Alexa,
Well,
if you can bring the point,
Alexa, it's been.
We have what it takes. I and Doctor have what it takes. If you are in the finance committee of the House, I tell you, we'll give you a better budget.
Nigeria, that was just on a lighter note. It's been a wholesome conversation with Alexa Wilcox, who is a chartered accountant, and of course, Doctor. It's been nice having you in the studio. We're happy to have you some other time, though. We're looking forward to having you, Alexa,
Please,
too.
Thank
you so much. Thank you for sharing your thought process with us. Thank you so much, Nigeria, for watching. The program has been AM Chat. I've been your host, Wofai.